Thanks for the opportunity. Uh, so, I won't take a lot of time and let's start. I would start with Mr. Ganesh. So, can you tell us about the challenges that you have faced in terms of bringing e-commerce for the farmers in that whole journey? Little bit.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. So it is more the challenges that the farmers are facing today in the face of a slower rate of agri economy growing as compared to the national economy. Uh, the farmer today is faced with multiple challenges. There is climate change that is happening. There is lack of productivity, and farm incomes are at a low. In fact, it is lower than the minimum wages in many districts, and it is in this light that the farmer is trying to survive and keep pace. At the same time, as a national priority, it is important for the agri economy to also quickly speed up. In this background, what ITC has been doing, it's been with the farmers, working with the farmers for more than 100 years. And we have sort of developed this value chain across 22 states with physical presence where we influence the crops that have to be grown, and that being the produce, we collect those produces, and we have actually built a value chain that extends into our FMCG brands. You would have heard of them as Ashirvad, Sunfeast, Bingo, etc. So that is the whole value chain. Now, in this, what we have gone ahead and layered for the last 4 years is a digital app called the ITC Mars. And with this app, what we are able to do is, because of our physical presence as well as this digital tool, we are able to provide access to the farmer without him needing to travel to experts. First thing, we are able to geotag the farms. So it is the base for any traceability mechanisms in markets. We are able to understand with our local presence the soil conditions that are present at the farm. We've got technologies that have got incorporated into these farms at a regional level, where one is able to understand the soil chemistry, and we have experts in our panel who, through the app, are able to give the advice on what should be the inputs that need to go into the soil for what crop. Second, we are able to advise the farmers the right seed for that area, that geography, that agroclimatic condition. And therefore, wherever possible, we are working with seed companies and connecting the right seed into the right geographies, and therefore influencing the farmer to use those seeds. So when you see at a farm level, it is seed, soil, package of practices that help increase productivity or production. And that is the main theme around which we have built this. Layered into this technology of ITC Mars is also the tie-ups that we have that help predict weather, both at a local, immediate 1 week level, and also in a longer term level. And we are able to now educate them on the dangers of climate change. Now, when you say climate change, you have a shorter winter, you have temperatures that are going up during the winters itself in different parts. So you need shorter crop cycles. Shorter crop cycles means seeds that work and in that period and are able to beat the heat before the heat stresses come in. Now, when you are able to influence these, the farmer is responding very positively. And at the end of that, there is an output that the farmer is producing. What we have done now is we have layered onto this the whole farmer producer organization that the Prime Minister has also set about. So 10,000 FPOs is the national mission at this point in time. 2,000 have been started by ITC. So we have aggregated farmers at a local level from 300 to 1,000 farmers in villages. And these farmers now use the app, go about producing it, experienced yield increases from 10 to 28%. Then we are able to pick up this quality produce and then access them markets. One of the markets being our own FMCG brands. The other is to take it to other markets and exports. In doing this whole market connect activity at the farm end. So this is today prevalent in 10 states. We have connected to about 1.7 million farmers, 1600 FPOs, and that is how we are slowly building this scale by which the farmer is positively influenced for greater production, higher incomes, and we are beginning to plan his whole crop calendar for the full year, basis the weather, basis the various predicaments that they face time in and time out. Layered with the FPO, we are also able to do other non-farm activities as businesses in the near future, and that is how we are planning this as we go forward.
Thanks a lot, Ganesh. Now, what we have heard here is from a comprehensive, more than 100-year-old entity, which is almost everywhere. You know, I don't think you will get a better example than ITC growing from scratch, from being a tobacco company to adding value to farmers. They were adding value to farmers' income even as a tobacco entity. You know, for growers, they are one of the large income, but as a FMCG. So if I have to really look at food, right, truly from soil, preparing the soil, pH, water, weather, even wind temperatures, lot of it really impact farmer crop. Just to give you an example, a 5-degree increase in temperature may reduce your productivity by close to 20-25%. So if we didn't have these harsh winters, possibly our wheat productivity would actually be lower. From there to technology. So when you look at technology, I don't think we ever talked about that IT is truly a differentiator or a revenue model. It's always about finding a sweet spot between farmers, or the producer, so to say, and the consumer. And in between, there is a lot of value add that someone like ITC does. I can go on and on, but let me go to another gentleman, which is from Ninjacart. They have just started. They are not as aged, I would say, in terms of vintage as ITC, but surely they have some of the best investors that you can think of, you know, Axel, Tiger Global, Mr. Nandan Nilekani. And they are completely focused on agri value chain, especially in fresh fruit and vegetable space. You know, from a very broad-based entity like ITC, I don't think we can get a better example for an Indian company, right, from brand building to an entity which is not into brands, but still they add value. So I would like Senthil to talk about the challenges that is facing mostly on the data side, because they're brutally focused on farmer data, and data as a tool to kind of enhance the income of farmers as well as consumers, and building a very, very competitive value chain. Senthil, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think, I think we all, lot of our founders and us take inspiration from ITC, right? Like that's, I think that way, you know, it's happy to be on the stage with you, sir. Thanks, and thanks for the nice introduction. If you know Ninjacart, I think a lot of some details has been given, so I won't repeat it. So we're basically into FNV supply chain. But if you see, we didn't start off as an agri company, right? Like as any startups, right? Like most of us are from e-commerce, and then we started off as quick delivery. If you see Ninjacart, that's why the name Ninjacart still stuck, because we wanted to deliver quickly in 2015, but then quickly pivoted from creating demand for the retailers to becoming suppliers to retailers. And that time the retailers found that procuring fruits and vegetables was the biggest problem, because other items, right, they came through the distributor channel during the working time, and the founder and the shop owner can do things like that, right? And FNV, as sir was telling, FNV was predominantly, we are not in the branded space, because FNV typically bought through unorganized sector, right? Majority, while quick delivery is still growing, it's still the overall percentage of that is very less, right? If you see, typically you buy from pushcart vendors or kirana stores or some vegetable shops, right? So that being the major contributors, right? We found them having problems going to the mandis, multiple mandis, going very early in the morning, right? So we wanted to solve that problem first, and that's how we started. We didn't start off as an agri company as such, right? And then, so basically we were a disaggregation point, right? Solving the problem of the retailers. And then we went back and said, instead of mandis, eliminate then, and then the larger thought was eliminate middlemen. Why you want to go through those things? We started establishing collection centers where we want to procure. So the thing is, we started solving for a pain point from the last stage of the supply chain, and then went backwards, right? Like we didn't approach it from the view of solving farmers' problem as such, right? Like so, but it got solved because we were able to eliminate all the middlemen. We were procuring, establishing a lot of collection centers to buy. And in this process, the entire supply chain became digitized, right? Because one thing we realized was initially we tried using reefer vans, right, to refrigeration and all these things. Then what happened was, the biggest point we learned was once you refrigerate, it has to be refrigerated till consumption, and majority of our retail landscape, including branded stores, don't have refrigeration for FNV, right? It is either kept in corridor or just in the AC rooms, right? So the refrigerated racks for green with sprays are not there, and that is a huge investment. So whenever we supplied that, right, the retailers started telling that if you refrigerate, they don't know whether it is refrigerated or right. They say your vegetable, what you supply, getting rotten faster because of the thermal shock, right? Then we realized instead of going the reefer, because we cannot influence and ask all the kirana stores to refrigerate and all these things, we said then we'll have to look at quick transfer from the farmer till the retailer point, right? So then we said that we achieved, so now all the procurement, once the procurement was within 12 to 15 hours, the produce reaches the retailers. So for that, we had to digitize our entire supply chain. And a benefit of that, a side tangential benefit of that is what this technology we have built, right, for small retailers where we have to aggregate demand, plus small farmers where, because most of our farmers are less than 1 acre, right, with whom we procure, right, and entire supply chain, trucks, warehouses, collection center, distribution center, that itself became, right, and a lot of other startups in other other developing countries wanted to build such, and that itself became a business unit for us. And now we are there in Brazil and Philippines with some companies there where they are implementing the same technology, like Arado in Brazil and Mayani in Philippines, right? They are using all these management tools. So that itself has become another component. But I think keeping that aside, so we tried solving for all these things, and that's how the tech component came in, right? Like because one thing we have to realize, it's not only the farmers which are small in India, especially from the FNV, right? The retailers are also very small. Their working capital is also poor. It's not that even if you push the fruit and vegetable, they don't have the working capital to increase their stock, take that risk of stock, right? So then we build a credit layer to arrange working capital for them from NBFCs and things like that. So here, and when we do this, right, over next 2-3 years, we had been doing this for 5-6 years, then we realized these are, whatever we have built is suitable only for local supply chains. So we have to build something for national supply chains, right? Because a lot of what we eat are not grown within 200 kilometers, right? It comes from, so then we built a trading platform where traders can involve, and then there, which is much more where we stand guarantee for payment, where we are much more involved, where we stand guarantee for payment, we arrange working capital needs and things like that. So that's where we leverage data. So what we thought, instead of eliminating middlemen, right, what we are involved mostly in trying to solve the structural problem, because initially we were also bent upon the idea of eliminate all middlemen. Then we realized they're middlemen for a purpose because of a problem, right? We have to solve for structural issues. For example, there were trust issues, right? There were traders who used to trade in a market and then disappear without paying and things like that, right? So people are reluctant to trade with new players and things like that, right? That is the friction. We found that in FNB, one source side trader was willing to, on an average, was supplying to 14 or 15 demand side traders. They are not willing to trade anywhere else because they have to collect money and things like that, right? Like, because see, even though FNV is denotified, right? Think of a farmer technically, right, who's in Kolar, loads a truck of tomato just landing up in Delhi. It's very really difficult for them to do, right? Like, or if he sells online, he wants somebody to make the payment and things like that. A lot of platforms didn't focus on that aspect, right? They were initially focusing on only discovering the counterparty and then price discovery through auctions, right? So what we are, and a lot of these people didn't have this thing also, didn't have working capital. So we built something called Agri Trade Bureau score for these traders to find who are the trusted traders. Now across 150 cities, we have built a trusted network of traders based on data, right? Like, so since a lot of it is not digital, because we have to see background data where data is not digital and things like that. And we have built that score, but it's most internal score, where based on which we are now almost 5,000 network across 150 towns, where no, we say that if you trade with these are trusted parties where we can stand guarantee for your payment and things like that, right? And we have arranged working capital, they can scale their businesses. So this is what structurally we are trying to solve, so that no, we might not work with directly with the farmers in the trade segment, but it reduces the number of intermediaries, and the traders are also, we found that no, when you traders get, so almost 45% of the traders, this is the new to credit, they've never accessed money from formal, so they were paying farmers slightly more earlier because their cost of capital went low and things like that. So this is how we leverage data and technology for our supply chain.
So I think, as you might have noticed by now, with these two speakers, that rural is not cheap. At one end, you have the global entities through World Trade agreements and bilateral agreements and whatnot. They want access to Indian markets, and specifically Indian agricultural markets, dairy markets, right? At the other end, we have a set of entities who are punching above their weight to kind of address meta issues, so to say. Structural issues around credit, structural issues around data privacy, structural issues around distribution supply chains. Now, as we go deeper into digital or rural e-commerce, I would say digital is a great leveler. Digital public infrastructure has made a significant difference. The payments, the small ticket payments, it's a global example, no need to be repeated anymore. But credit is something which still remains unresolved. And let me take back in 2006 when I was part of starting Safal National Exchange, that was first ever fruit and vegetable exchange. We have someone who even predates that. It was Mother Dairy Safal which was the first organized fruit and vegetable retailer, if you leave away Nilgiris. Nilgiris remain the oldest retail chain in India, so in a very, very similar way to formal, okay? There have been many entities that have come and gone. There was Tata Khetse, there was Bharti, which tried to bring in Rothschild. They ended up having Del Monte only, okay? So now I would like to ask someone who has been a veteran in the space. He has seen it from an input side, from organized retail side, as well as the electronic market side. See, markets are public goods, okay? And it's the job of a regulator. So if you look at stock exchanges, they're very well done markets. We are among globally the best equity markets. The same cannot be said about the agri commodities. Here we are still in a very, very rudimentary stage. If I have to talk about as a level of market development from 1 to 10, I think we would be around 3. Here mostly agri commodities, government which decides most of it. So let me now go to Mr. Dushyant Tyagi, who has been with Mother Dairy, he has been with fertilizer entities, and now he is involved in quality assessment as well as new ventures to make farmers more competitive and making value chain more competitive. So Tyagi, just share us in brief, what is it that could make rural e-commerce more competitive? And that could also aid to increased income for farmers and reduced cost to consumers. Difficult, but I'm sure you can answer that.
Thanks, Rajesh, for nice introduction. So I'm coming from a group, we are into in and out agriculture. Like Rajesh indicated, I'm coming from Nagarjuna, Hyderabad-based Nagarjuna group. So we were into agri input side for almost 50 years, and 2011-12 we realized. So asking farmers to grow more, grow better is ending up kind of a scenario where you are asking someone to lose more, lose better. So we said, what is the way forward? So productivity, like Rajesh asked me, how to increase farmers' income and how to, increase the accessibility of e-commerce to rural customers or for per se farmers. So there are two ways. One is you reduce their production cost or you increase their productivity. And the second thing, where they lose more or where they basically most of the value is eroded, marketplace. So then we could realize that till the time you improve realization, you cannot ask farmers to use most advanced agri inputs for increasing their productivity or for that case for increasing their, the quality also. So this all started in 2011 when we did India's first Mandi digitization in Punjab for a World Bank project. And then 2014 onwards, we basically entered into this project called E-National Agriculture Market as a strategic partner to Government of India. Down the lane, after 9 years, uh, today we have integrated 1498 markets in 23 states, 4 union territories. We have completed 127 million metric ton trade of 229 commodities. We are doing something around 24,000 transactions per trading session. The whole, and the figures will continue to grow. We have 1.7 crore farmers likewise. But if you ask me, what difference does it could make? Like Rajesh indicated, you have a public digital infrastructure in other sectors. But fortunately or unfortunately in agriculture, that was missing. So perhaps ENAM was the first step towards creating that infrastructure, a layer around which you can have access to the information in real time. You can help farmers to have better price discovery and try to improve their realizations. Very rightly said, intermediation is not a bad thing, provided it contributes for the value addition for all stakeholders in a rightful manner and in an equated manner or better balanced manner. So you can't eliminate intermediaries, they have their own role. But you can always look out for a better inclusive system where you try to change their roles. And we have seen after 1991, India has done spectacularly, well in all other sectors. You take anything, you take telecom, you take infrastructure, you take automobiles. But agriculture remained devoid of, the fruits of liberalization. So the whole idea was to make agriculture better accessible, better market competitives. Like Rajesh said, we are around 1 to 3. So our endeavor is consistently to bring more markets under this net and continue to strengthen this public infrastructure for agriculture, number one. Number two, at least after 9 years of effort, you can see real-time price movement for these 229 commodities across country. Otherwise, it used to be post facto. You will always come to know about the price, the next day or in the evening. Now you can make decision in real time. So coming back to the question, basically what have been asked to me. So to me, rural markets are buzzing. 57% of your consumption in rural. And I see, farmers especially, they are very great in adoption. And they have proved in this India. So they have proved it time and again, time and again. Whenever there comes the question of adopting a technology, they were always on the forefront. So what is restricting? Probably. Well, the answer where we really need to find out for 3 fundamental challenges which we have in hand. Ever-dropping holding sizes, right? And the second is, access to organized credit in rightful manner and having a equated market. And we believe that the future belongs to 2 things very strongly. Number one, genomics, and the second is algorithm. So definitely to improve accesses, as our internet connectivity improves, as information connect improves, automatically we have to make our offerings like Ninjacart is contributing and many more, agri startups. The model is finally what ITC has demonstrated over the years. You have to pick up a commodity value chain and try to serve it right from seed till markets. This is what I can add quickly.
Thank you. So, we have been looking at, if you really look at the core from these experienced entities and individuals that have contributed here, one thing becomes clear. It's the role redefinition that is important. If you are in the last mile, whether in organization, farming value chain, or in any setup or not-for-profit, you don't have a choice. People will inundate you with information, inundate you with products and services. So that's about farmers here in this commodity value chain, if we have to say so. And there are another set of people. So, they remain at the forefront because the world ends there. There is nothing else beyond them. You have to farm, right? Then there is these intermediaries. Globally and through empirical data, it has been proven there are 2 people who are the quickest in decision making. And the one who adapt very fast. One is a driver. He has to take split-second decisions. And second is the trader. And it's global. And it's not limited to agri value chain intermediary. Okay. So all of us have seen here role redefinition is at the core. how do we redefine the role of existing value chain and intermediaries so that this whole value chain becomes more competitive. At one end, you have something like ENAM. We piloted it way back in 2009. Government of India adopted it in 2014-15, and thereafter it has been being scaled up. You have heard the story from the person who has been doing it. Now let me take a pause here and look at someone who does not have the experience as we really speak. She is mostly, I would say, one of the very, very good role models for young women, entrepreneurs and all. She has come in with a very, very clear experience of adding value. And remember, it's the value add that makes a difference. Today, PLIs, whether it's in EV or in smartphones, is still about adding. We are not at the core of the value addition. We are not still manufacturing the cutting edge chips and all, okay. But here is someone who is bereft of any history. She wants to be Amul of rural distribution. And let me tell you, Amul, while it does not predate ITC, but has given some of the major leaders in agri value chain across to the corporate India. So here is Sireesha. She runs a new entity. I would like her to introduce at the same time. In brief, give us the challenges that he has faced in the distribution. So it's about the innovation is distribution. Quick commerce does not exist only in urban area, it does exist in rural India. Over to Sireesha.
Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm so privileged to share the stage with these legendary. As you rightly said, and thank you for that great introduction. Okay, so the challenge, before I could answer the question, what are the challenges we faced? Value addition, I just would like to say it in one single line. What did we do in Potlam? Okay, before that, I think I need to start my introduction. So I'm Sireesha, the CEO of Potlam, which is a 4.5 years old company in the rural part of India. We operate in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana with somewhere around 11 pin codes. We cater our services to 11 pin codes. So what did we do in Potlam is we aggregated the farmers nearby to those rural part or the places. Okay, we aggregated them, and what value addition they got is we cut down the middlemen. So we acted as a bridge between the farmers and the customers. So how did we do this? This is a question, right? So as I told you, we are 4.5 years old company. We have the data. So we know what you are consuming at your home. We have the list, whether you're consuming potatoes, you're consuming tomatoes. So we give the farmers a list of calendar to produce in certain seasons or certain period. So what do? We pay them on time. First, we aggregate the farmers. We pay them on time. That is, first thing, we cut down the middlemen. There's no middleman. When there is no middleman, there is no cost, additional cost. We did that. Secondly, we have added something called calendar. We tell farmers to produce this. This is what our consumers or our customers eat. Please get these to our baskets. So this is what is happening in Potlam for past 4.5 years, and we have 2 lakh plus happy customers. And we are doing great in the rural part of India. I think what we added as a value addition is paying them on time. Once you deliver your product, we pay them immediately by end of the day. Once you have that in place, farmer will be able to produce good seeds or whatever, because of this, I mean, the middleman. I do agree with these guys that there is, you need middlemen for a few things, but for few things, I think we can cut short those middlemen. That is what I mean, we did in Potlam, and it's going great. Um, and the value addition is the part which I have already told you. And I think we are the first one to give a calendar to the farmer, because my customers eat this, you just produce it, and there is absolutely no wastage, and they could produce that. This is what we are doing it, and I think it's a value addition.
So let me draw down from my own experience in organized retail what Sireesha is trying to do, and from various policymaker decisions. She may not realize it. It's called consumer-led production by farmers. Many of us sitting here have tried, and we know how difficult it is to do. And if she really doing it, I would say 3 cheers to her, and please clap her for the initiative she is taking. You know, farmers producing what consumers want. That's one big thing. Okay, it's not easy. Second, she talked about something else. She said, cut down. I think what she wanted to say was make value chain more efficient. And in addition to that, she is doing something where, she is not looking at rural as farmers only. Many of us are manufacturing entities. So if I look at ITC, it's a brand owner. They create brands. They add significant value to the commodity, and you don't eat wheat. I don't think you will see ITC selling wheat. They would be selling flour. They would be selling mixed flours. They would be selling ready-made foods. Okay. So when you are looking at this, so value addition remains at the core. Each one of the speakers have really done a wonderful job. I wouldn't really take any more time, and straight away go to the audience for their question and answers. Just remember, there are more than 14 crore farmer households. Even if you put all the number together, we are still scratching the surface. So there is ample opportunity. With ample opportunity comes ample challenges. So here it will.
Yeah, my question is to Sireesha, as she explained the consumption-led production. I mean, the process seems to have two challenges. One is the same farmer producing the similar products again and again may affect the productivity of the land. How do you manage that? And two, the demand side problem, which is the seasonality of the demand. How do you tackle these two?
Okay. So this works with the demand and supply, I mean, and the indenting model, which we have it in our own app. Okay. Once we integrate the farmer, we come up with the indent, how much is required in this quarter or in this month or in this week from that particular farmer. Okay. So this is how, and we share this indent with all the aggregated farmers. I mean, if you are, for an example, if you are looking for tomatoes, then what I do for the 10 farmers who could produce tomatoes, we send the indents with maybe the ripeness or whatever the conditions. Farmer comes up with the how many kgs they could send it back to us. And this is possible only if you have clear consumption data and a medium of communication. If you could communicate, I'm sorry, if you could communicate this to farmers, I think we can eradicate this overproduction.
Maybe I will request Ganesh to kind of add, because you are the one who has done most of his questions, maybe, in addition to that new piece here.
So, see, theory is there, and theory says you need crop rotation, right? That is to answer your first question. And therefore, if you see an FPO of 1,000 farmers, there is a crop planning that you can do, and there's a way by which you can rotate the crops through their company, right? They are a company as an FPO. They have a board of directors, and they are supposed to be able to plan crops by rotating. And when you layer this with awareness building, right, you have the soil data, and at a geotag level of every individual farmer. And therefore, if the soil is depleting, we are able to sort of indicate to them that if you grow this, you're going to, you're going to have a lower yield. And it is better to now fix the nitrogen and grow moong or grow some pulse for 3 months to 4 months in between these two crops at this period. Get that. So when we are able to layer, so data comes from the soil. Today you have these sensors that we have mounted on the field, right? It has an anemometer, so it gives the wind. It is capturing details of the soil, beaming back the same thing to us via satellite. And you're able to, at that micro level, tell every soil is different and what inputs does it need. Now, inputs can be chemical, inputs can be natural. So, as much as possible, we try to advise through our crop advisory panel as to put this crop in as the next rotation, bring the soil back, let it be fallow, but do not let it be barren. Try and grow something. So, the advisories are science-led and tech-led. And the beauty about digitization is it is not one solution for 10,000 hectares. It is now at a hectare level we are able to personalize and customize the solution required for the farmer. And it is in that light the soil problem we are trying to address. It is a very big problem. It cannot be solved with the examples that I am giving, but directionally that is what will help. The other part is when you are offering quality, when you are building a brand or a product. Now we are offering products on value. Now what are those values? It could be organic, it could be residue free, it could be say totapuri of this, so therefore there's a sweetness index, there's a color index, there's a longevity of a mango also, right? And like that you're able to spec a commodity. It doesn't remain a commodity anymore. You'll be, it's information to you all. The MSP rules at about 23 rupees, right? For the produce that we sort of engineer, we are at a position where we are able to give the farmer, or the farmer realizes from us 1.5 to 2 rupees premium for that wheat, or for that matter paddy or soya. And all this is driven by small specifications which we sort of trivialize saying commodity. If you have oil content at 50% versus oil content at 42%, it is nearly 16% more oil. Now, but the farmer receives the same price for the oil seed in the mandi. Now, if you use science and you are able to sort of get an idea of what is this quality or direct him towards that extra, it's a win-win for both, and they also earn more. Right, and in this day and age, with climate change, with shorter crop cycles, with the work that different organizations do, you are able to tell them genomics is the future. Right now, your hybridization, right? GMOs are not allowed in India, and rightly so. Here we are hybridization, and you're coming to shorter crop cycles with the correct features of the crop, and therefore lead the farmer to produce that and not lose yields. Or just as the crop is developing extremely well, come January, end of February, if the temperatures start picking up and an early summer sets in, then the wheat dries up. Now some of these crops, because of the seed variety, are able to beat these problems. And that is where the whole physical and digital presence, good advice and science-based answers are able to solve the issues of the farmer.
Thank you so much. So I think it's time to wrap up the session. Thanks a lot. We have been on.